Well, howdy, Wildcards. Welcome to our Thursday night stream. We've got some special guests this evening. It's very excited. It's the Solomon Kane Kickstarter back for Suede. So, if you guys are familiar with Monolith, they are the amazing creators behind Batman Gotham City Chronicles, Claustrophobia 1643, Mythic Battles, and they're friends across the pond. And this is a shiny new edition, updated to Suede by Shane himself, but not put out by Pinnacle, but put out by our friends at Monolith. And it brings you to the world of Solomon Kane by the amazing Robert E. Howard. I mean, totally up the pulpy, fantastic, high-flying adventure attitude that Savage Worlds does so well. And Savage Worlds traded off our license a couple years back, and you guys got an amazing board game out of the deal and decided to put out the RPG as well. So welcome, Gilles and Matt, to the stream. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and what you guys do for the project. So we'll start with Gilles.
All right. So I'm editorial director at Monolith Edition since now almost 3 years now, and it's going very well. I mean, I'm a pretty busy man. Matt could confirm you because we have more and more stuff to make. So we started really focusing more on RPG with the Batman RPG, which was also really good because putting outside all the stuff for the board game, I think it was something around 800k for the campaign. So yeah, really good. And we continue with the Savage World of Solomon Kane, for which we are very, very pleased. I mean, great product. It was already a great product like 15 years ago, but still even better now. So pretty good.
I mean, the fact that you got Shane to work it on, I mean, Shane's time is precious these days. So the fact that he updates himself is a testament. Just one, how much he loves Solomon Kane, but two, I mean, just the excellent job you folks have done in production value. And I mean, there's miniatures. I mean, a whole box full, like over 100 miniatures, right? Like it's fantastic. Well, I'll show you the picture in a second. But Matt, welcome to the stream. How you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, Matt John here. You know, I wear many hats, folks. I am one of 3 talking heads on the Rogues in the House podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things sword and sorcery. I've been with Monolith for, oh my God, I don't know, 6-7 years or something.
That's ancient in the gaming territory.
Yeah, it is.
Dog years.
But it's actually, and this is where I'm gonna be a suck up and say that, like, I love working for Monolith. I love, Fred and Gilles and the entire team. We're a very kind of no BS company. We get things done. We make great games, and we make sure that they're viable and that people can actually receive them. And we play a smart game on the Kickstarter cycle. And so I felt very privileged for quite a while. I actually got a gig for Modifius during the Conan role-playing game RPG when it was with them. And it was, oddly enough, a crossover book for the Conan board game meets the RPG. And then from there, Fred Henry scooped me up. He sent me to France. He introduced me to the peeps. I did a little community management, and I have worked my way over into a more fun job, which is a game developer. And yeah, man, I've been having a good time ever since. And
so one croissant, and it was done, right? You're just like
one croissant and a tumbler of wine, and that was it.
Yeah, it tends to do that to a lot of people.
Yeah, it was weird. Fred showed me off as like a weird piece of meat to all these French people who were, speaking in a language I don't know, ashamedly, because I'm Canadian. But I felt good either way. I took the gig. Okay.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So the Jess and I were talking before the stream about our mutual love for Deadlands, and he showed me like there's a good shelf right above his head that is just lined with Deadlands books. So what is it about Solomon Kane that made you guys think that this is a property we need to get back to? Like what's the magic there?
Easy answer for me, but Gilles, you could probably talk more of the nuts and bolts of the situation. I recall us getting the assets from Mythic Games, and then you and I did a little brainstorming, and then we came up with this. So I don't know. I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably anything Howard related is something for us, obviously. I mean, Conan was the first Monolith game, and it's clearly in our DNA. I mean, and it probably will be forever. Uh, and back then, like something like 8 or 9 years ago, to be honest with you, when Mythic Games had the right for doing the Solomon Kane, we're like, oh fuck, because we wanted to do it. And so when they had the beginning of the situation, um, they contacted us also because they wanted to drop out some licenses, including Solomon Kane. So we probably think about it for like 2 seconds, uh, because outside of the board game itself, um, I think the art they made for Solomon Kane by Guillem Pongilupi is probably one of the best ever made for something between sword and sorcery and dark fantasy.
Yeah.
And even if I like the old Solomon Kane book, I mean it's just crazy good. So it was I would say the perfect occasion to use a new Suede system. I mean, which to me is almost perfect.
Mhm.
I mean, be it for Solomon Kane or just for Pulp in general. With all the new assets we have and the community we have around the Howard also. And I mean, the two most involved people in this are not there, but Frederick, which is our boss, and also Shane. I mean, they start to talk together, and I mean, it was done really fast. Both of them were really happy with it. I
Mhm.
even think I can be wrong, but I think it's probably like the first time Shane is okay for us to publish even the rules already with the source book. So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really unique position for us, at Pinnacle, because it is the first time that we've allowed a third party to publish our
Yeah.
core rules, and we think that's important, just given kind of the nature of the campaign, right? Like you guys are coming off a wonderful Kickstarter for the board game. You're put together a really kind of great package, and it just made sense to be like, if it's not Pinnacle, let's let them publish the core rules and bring all of their fans into the kind of the wonderful world that is Solomon Kane. And so yeah, so it works, and it's also the first time we've had one of our former in-house properties kind of taken on by a second party. So really excited about the campaign. The fact that like almost $90,000, and so it's a really short campaign. I think that's I think my first question on the campaign. So if you're seeing this, the link is in the chat where you're at, and I'll pop it up on screen again. But you can just Google Solomon Savage World of Solomon Kane RPG.
Yep.
It is only a 1-week campaign, so very, very short. What's the thought behind the short window in the campaign?
Yeah. So first of all, I think it's mainly a French thing because usually the crowdfunding campaign in France are between 7 and 10 days. But the reason mostly is we wanted to make a short campaign with a pretty long pledge manager. I mean, pledge manager will probably be open for like 2 or 3 months. So, I mean, if someone is really short on money now, doesn't need to freak out. It will be okay. But also, thing is, as Matt said, one of the things which is really important for us, I mean, that's not really a problem in the RPG world, but it's something which is seen a lot on the board gaming world. We want to have products we know we'll be able to produce and deliver. So the thing is, the longer the campaign is, the more there's a chance you will start to make stretch goals you didn't plan to make and everything.
And then your entire company sinks. Whoa, did I say that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, and if it was
never seen that happen.
No.
Yeah. So I mean that's a good part of the reason, and the other one that is what we have also a Mythic Battle campaign for the board game, which was also planned like in 2 or 3 weeks, and having buff at the same time. I mean, it's not even for us; it's even for like pledgers. It's pretty complicated to follow. You spam with marketing like every minute. So I mean, we prefer to do a small campaign because it's a pretty, I would say, pretty easy offer. I mean, between the RPG or the RPG with the miniatures. So yeah, it was a plan.
It's interesting because like we raise a few eyebrows sometimes with our offerings at Monolith, and I get it. but I kind of want to speak to the fact that, like, I mean, Gilles is on the French team, and maybe these are French perspectives and ideas. But like for me, it's that we do sometimes do things differently, and yet here we are. We're still like we deliver, we are successful, and we're very careful. And to be honest with you, at this point where I don't know, the last couple of years there's been a bit of eroding of trust in these sorts of projects. I would not do this as my part-time job if I thought for any reason that these things would not deliver or that this was not a safe offering. And sometimes it's difficult to explain to backers who see things as different than what other publishers are doing. To me, it's that, like, we're doing things safely. They might seem weird, they might seem different, but to be honest, we do have a vision, and there's a bit of balls involved with this. A 7-day campaign is kind of, there's balls. Buying up the assets from a fairly successful board game, for those, I don't want to speak this. Okay.
I let you some time to think about it because I will interrupt you. Matt points something which is very, very true, and I didn't tell. Fred loves to try stuff. I mean, it's not the best argument, but that's true. I mean, he will say, "Oh, why not try that?" And say, "All right, let's go." I mean, he's an adventure guy for sure.
I was super psyched because the Solomon Kane game, the board game, I bought it. It's an impressive game. It is deep. It is heavy. It is huge, and it's a lot. And I didn't understand how a reprint would even work at this point, right? And I think that to reprint that board game, we'd have to look at certain things. We'd have to look at costs, and we'd have to perhaps truncate things because anyways, I'm going to leave that alone. But what I will say is that when Gilles mentioned to me, what if we took the old Savage Worlds RPG and we took our assets and we blended them and we brought it back? Since we're tight with the people at Heroic Signatures, we've done many successful Kickstarter campaigns with them, most successful Kickstarter campaigns with them. I thought this is great because not only had I previously played Savage Worlds, but the version of Savage Worlds I played the most was the Solomon Kane game, and I thought it was amazing. It was such an awesome integration of the IP and the rules, and I mean, for a game that is very, it has the miniatures mechanics built in, the sort of open map measuring, et cetera. It really fit quite well. And to me, it felt like very much a long shot. And I was like, dude, yeah, let's try that. And well, here we are. And we've got all these gorgeous minis. We've got all of these assets that we can offer at a stupid price.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't know. These are the kind of smart and ballsy choices that I'm proud of that we're making. And I can say that because I didn't actually make these choices. These were not my decisions. I'm just sit back admiring them.
And what's also great? Sorry, alone. What's really also really great with the Solomon Kane minis? There's a good chunk of them which are minis you almost never see. You know, like people working in a tavern, shepherd. I mean. It's usually you've got dragons, knights, demon, and that's all. So, I mean, you can pretty much cover all the old world you can have back then, with the minis. So the
minis in this game are actually more appropriate for an RPG than they are for the board game. Which
I think that's so.
Yeah, it's a really elegant choice, I think, overall.
Well, and I mean, like for an RPG fan, it's an easy buy for how many miniatures you're getting that are. I mean, as you mentioned, they're very utilitarian. They're very useful for the game. It's also, I mean, the thing I like about Solomon Kane is it's not traditional medieval, but it has all of the accesses of freedom to really go there with the kind of the mysticism that's in the game, the lore. I mean, so it is no less entertaining or fun, but it's not a content in a period that is overdone in RPGs. So you're not going to find 10 other board games you can go pillage, miniatures from, or even other RPGs you can pillage miniatures from. And let's be honest, these miniatures, I mean, they are fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that you're giving free ones, so I didn't even realize this. The beasts and demons. So apparently every day you're doing more reveals, and these aren't like small little tiny miniature extras you're throwing in. Like the ogre, the devil, and the gorilla are just gorgeous, huge miniatures that are. I mean, it's an easy yes for me. On like yes, you could be that they're calling it the RPG vault with all these miniatures. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. But it's not even just the miniatures. It's the maps that we kind of already went through. Like these are great maps that one speak to kind of the time period. But I mean, I think these would go with so many other games in anybody's kind of collection. That why wouldn't you want these games? But the manor especially is really kind of in on this time period, and I mean it's an easy yes. Like the Savage Worlds works theater of the mind or full hog on miniatures and maps and details, but when someone else has already done the work for you, I mean, how awesome is it to bring this to a table and be like, let's get you in the mood, folks. Let's lay these out. Let's see these miniatures and then the maps. So why don't you guys talk a little bit about Solomon Kane itself, like the actual property? It's for some folks who aren't familiar, it's a great property. But what's the basic kind of themes that we're going to be playing with in this game?
You want me to go on that, Jill?
Yeah.
So with Solomon Kane, he's probably he might be the second or third most popular character from Robert E. Howard's roster. Interestingly, he's about my fourth favorite. I really prefer my three barbarian kings of Conan, Cull, and Bran McMorn. That said, Solomon Kane stories are just solid. And I think in many ways you see a little bit of Howard experimenting and kind of finding his feet with them, but they are pure sword and sorcery. And Solomon Kane himself is such an interesting character. And to me, he becomes more interesting when I think of him as being so different from those three barbarian kings. He is a righteous fellow, and you almost get the sense that he's teetering on the edge of sanity. Now, I have had this argument with some scholars of Robert E. Howard, and in some ways he's just like, I am doing God's work. But this is a guy who, he encounters a situation where somebody like a young girl was wronged, and he decides, I'm not only going to right this wrong, I will travel continents to do it, and men shall die for this. And that to me is not a person who's playing with a full deck, regardless of what the time period is. And so for me, Solomon Kane in that way is so interesting. He is the old school hero who's like, I'm doing good because it's the right thing to do. It's the sort of foil to the mustache twirling villain of like, I am just evil. And these stories have all of the hallmarks of sword and sorcery. It's got rituals, it's got beasts, it's got magic, it's got heroism, it's got freaking vampires, and in ways you may have never seen. I see someone in the chat earlier said it's kind of like, what did they say? Bloodborne meets Castlevania. And like, if you want,
that's true.
if you want that to be the sort of skin you apply to this to think about it, I think that's okay, right? It's like there's the religious subtext. He's an agent of God, but they're also not. These aren't like pious or preachy tales. It's more so just this is a dude who's badass at this time, 17th century, and kicking ass all across the world, presumably. Which is probably another question later. It's like, where else do you want to see him fight? We see a lot of the Western, like sort of Europe, but like, anyways. So I think you get all of the cool stuff from Robert E. Howard's other stories in terms of the monsters, the compelling villains, the sort of whalebone and gristle hero. But it's more in our real world than Conan. It's more in our real world, especially more than Cull. And so you can place it in a historic context. And I don't know, man, it's a pretty goddamn cool setting. And as you say, there's not a ton there. You want pirates, you can do it. You want New World North America, like you can do it.
I mean, fencing and flintlocks all in the same setting.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not constrained by like being like musketeers. Like, you walk the path of Kane, and you can go be a righteous inquisitor type, or
to me, it's really a character about willpower and spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, he has no superpower nor anything. I mean, it's just a human with facing its destiny.
And like all Robert E. Howard's characters, willpower is his superpower.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
He's just
absolutely.
so badass and hell-bent and has the might to back it up that he gets it done.
And to me, Solomon Kane is like the perfect mix. And some people will be freaking out because they think it's one or the other, but between dark fantasy and sword and sorcery. I mean, to me, it's really part of both. And as you said, I mean, you can play it like anywhere in the world. It's like Shane would kill me, perhaps, but it's it's like if you took the World of Darkness and it's not modern contemporary, it's not Dark Ages, it's an in between. And to me, even if you don't have read the novels, which is a shame, everyone should. It's as you said, it allows so many different stuff to make with a RPG. I mean, it's not like it was as saw the chat. You can play it a little like Castlevania. You can play it more like Renaissance. You can play really more about the Protestant part. You can play more like, I mean, some part of Africa. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with that.
Sven K's comment, 16th century Punisher, is fairly apt.
Yeah, accurate. Yeah, really accurate.
The other bit too, I would also point out, and I know that this game kind of points people toward the quote unquote path of Kane, right? So that you would take up his work and follow in his footsteps and things like that. But actually, when we played it, we played bastards. Like we flipped the script, and we were like not good people. And in fact, the whisperings of Solomon Kane were more so in the background, like he was going to come get us eventually. Which again,
that'd be a great campaign. I'd love
that.
That's great.
Right, this is your game. Do your thing with it, and especially too when we're adapting these properties, and we've seen all these stories before, or we've even adapted them a certain way before, which feels very on brand. I get very comfortable when I'm thinking in the future of like flipping that script. So I don't know. We shall see.
Yeah, well, the fans are really, really excited about the miniatures, and my guess is the answer is no, because like I understand, licensing, whatever. But one question is, will there be a way to get specific miniatures in addition to going in on the full set in the future?
That's a Gilles question.
That's a good question. I mean, for now, no.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty open. I mean,
yeah, it's hard from a production, not speaking for my friends over here, Monolith, but from a production standpoint, it's much harder to do multiple versions of packaging for miniatures. That's just the SKU count, the inventory thing. It's a much more complicated problem than like, hey guys, go in on the box because you're going to get it all. It gets shipped to you once. It's on this, retail. It's easier. It's kind of why even like Bones for another famous miniatures company. That's why they're doing Bones. It's like it's so much harder to keep 5,000 SKUs in stock and one at a time and piecemeal and ship one at a time. Like, hey, get it on for a $300, big set. This is only $100. You get so many good miniatures. So I think that's
and it's a matter of costs, right? Yeah. Like if it's necessarily cheaper if we bundle it, and if we do it individually, then people would probably scoff at the price because it's the manufacturing part and the picking and the sorting. And I mean, we did that with one of our Batman campaigns, and like half the people loved it and half the people freaking hated it.
Yep.
Or they're picking the individual miniatures, and like, but that's part of how we try things, right? And Fred Henry's always willing to like, he's willing to take that shot, and sometimes it lands, and most times it lands, and sometimes it's not always.
No, it's great to see innovation.
You ever hear the thing where Arnold does that interview and he's like, I smoke my stogie wherever I want. I don't have to go find a hidey place like you. Sorry. I'm ballsy. That's how I feel we are at Monolith.
No, it's great to kick down doors in the industry because, I mean, that's the thing about campaigns, right? Is launch on a Tuesday and do a 3 or 4 week campaign is what everybody else does in the industry. But hey, everybody else also has a 3 week middle of the campaign where it's slow as all get out. You're pulling your hair out. I mean, trying to get attention. It's like maybe you just cut that little middle part out and get their campaign, get the beginning and the end rush, and then put it into a pledge manager early and all for it.
And also the thing that anyways, I don't need to go down this road, but it's like it's the sheer volume of Kickstarter campaigns, which is just to me gets a little as a backer. Okay, I'm speaking as a consumer. I see tons and tons of campaigns rolling out. I'm looking at the funding and I'm wondering, how's this working? And so I really appreciate working in a place where we just really are careful. We make sure that things are 99.9% complete before we put them up there, because in this era, post-COVID, we've learned some things and we have to be careful with the money that folks are giving us to fulfill this thing. Anyways.
No, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. I mean, see, some things sound great to backers, and then it kills the campaign. Like, stretch goals. Yeah, and doing multiple prints of, and there's some great campaigns that
we're asking for a solo mode out of the blue, and then someone says, "Sure, we'll do that mid-campaign." To me, that's madness. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I would say what's great with long campaign, if it's an unknown universe or game, it gives you time to make it known. And also, I mean, it let more time for people to pledge or to think about it. The problem from the other side, meaning us in general, not just Monolith, the longer it is, the more you start to ask yourself questions you shouldn't. And the more you will listen to people you shouldn't also. Because someone will have something and will say, oh, 3 people asked for that, so perhaps we should do it. And then at the end, it's just 3 people. Sometimes it can be 2,000, but very often it's 3 people. And you'll be like, okay, perhaps we can do this, or perhaps we can do that for even better result, like showing cats because cats sells.
Cats sell, baby. Cats sell.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, 100%. You heard the demand to get on stream too. We heard the you're on camera. I need to be on camera. I was. No. I think it's great. I mean, a follow up question. I also probably know because I've only ever seen this in smaller companies who aren't actually able to get their miniatures printed. But Padre asked, he's like, any chance that you guys will release the STLs?
No,
See, I've never seen it when an actual miniature is for sale. So,
I mean, if I would try to sound neutral, I would say, oh, it's hard to say now. We'll see later. But honestly, it's really thin.
Yeah. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, I think one, piracy, but 2, if you
and
miniatures are really expensive to get printed. Like the overhead costs are fantastically high.
And to be honest, the other problem, and it's not something many people will think about.
License.
Yeah, licensing. I mean, you will have someone buying the STL, putting them online. And I mean, for us, it's not that good, but like for Herrick signatures, it's pretty shitty, to be honest.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, because of a few people, it's something we'll probably never do, even for the good people.
It's also still pretty niche, right? And I love the do-it-yourself thing, man. I'm someone who's made a lot of terrain. I did Hearst Arts molds, and if anyone in the chat knows what that is, it's like I ordered dental stone.
Your dental stone out. Yes,
I poured molds.
You can't bring that to a convention because it does not fit in a carry-on. No. It is 900 pounds. It's gorgeous. It looks real, but That's my God. Yeah.
It's super. I mean, now it's fairly antiquated but it was super niche, and so I get the want to do it yourself thing, but it's mostly logistics. And as much as I'd love to be able to provide for those guys, it just doesn't make a ton of sense.
No, 100%. I mean, things that sound about it is other folks in the industry who they start these things like, hey, we'll give out STLs, and it's like they're not going to print because there's long tails.
That's something which really helps me to keep saying no, is that I don't have a 3D printer.
Yeah,
because I know if I had one, I mean I have no space already now. So it would be way worse. So,
But you're also trading mold lines for print lines that then require a bath and a whole thing, and then stinky resin. It's a big operation, man, which is why
Oh
it's,
no, it is.
it's
And like,
niche.
so I've made the commitment. The Saturn IV Ultra is coming out in 2 months. I'm like, I will get into this part of the hobby. And the machine only $400. Everything else you need not to kill yourself over $1,000 extra.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I have never spent $1,000 on any miniature offering ever. So who am I really saving? No. It's all about ego or whatever. But
yeah, I don't think you're really saving, but
no,
it's like a free buffet. I mean, you take what you need, and it's great. I mean, honestly, I mean, I really tried to convince me to not buy one.
Yeah, it's time, man. I'm actually a fairly decent miniature painter, and I actually hire my friend to paint my Conan the Conqueror miniatures because I just
so good.
I don't have the time, man.
Oh,
but I love the results.
So gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so for folks who are just joining us, we just talked about why it's a short campaign because they're getting to the point. But there will be a very long tail on the pledge manager phase. And I think you guys, I mean, as a marketing person, I have to say, you guys did a wonderful job on the pre-campaign and getting the word out on exactly when the campaign was going to be launched. I think that's why you funded in like 35 seconds. That was an excellent job there. So I was just you have some. Speaking of the gorgeous art, and we got a little bit of a hint in the background. Could you show us the Game Master screen? It is not only is it gorgeous, it's huge. It is secrets will be kept and not revealed with this Game Master screen.
Hopla!
Oh,
just let me.
So good. Oh, I love it.
It's gorgeous.
I think that's where I really do think that you guys did. It's a great idea to. We want a campaign video. Like no one's doing campaign videos like that for just RPGs. Like you need a board game in there. Board game money in there too. But oh my god, great cinematics in the campaign video. The fact that I really love about this campaign, and it's very smart that you guys are doing this. Like both the board game and the RPG is. For folks who aren't on the industry side, it's a lot of investment to get really quality art done. Miniatures is almost doing miniatures for an RPG. Very few people do it because it is such a risk. It is tens of thousands of dollars per miniature per mold to get the plastic things done up front. And then when you can print 20,000 of them, the 21,000 copy costs you almost nothing. So that's why like Simon, that's kind of their business model is like. They'll front load the cost of the molds, but hey, we're going to put a ton of them in the box. And then, but RPGs, a lot of these RPGs don't have 5,000 guaranteed backers, right? So it's very risky because, we are smaller on that front. They're still at the end of the mind, folks. So I think it's great to just bring those same assets. And the cover with the red and like the demonic, it's just gorgeous. So I am impressed by the amount of cinematic kind of, the touches. On your campaign page, and we showed this before, but like even just a trade dress, it's just so much nicer when you've got all these great assets to work with that really kind of speak to the themes and tones. So this one's like a not to miss campaign, I think.
It makes me want to toot the Monolith horn again, and I don't get paid for my telling us how cool the company is, but it's like in a time where I find a lot of fantasy art, not all, there's still some great heavy hitters and some great publishers using some great fantasy art.
Oh, yeah.
It's that I'm very nostalgic for, like, I'm looking at Brahm in the background. I'm thinking about Frank Frazetta. I'm thinking about even D&D Second Ed. And anyone who's listened to my Rogues in the House podcast will know I bloviate on this a lot. But I really, really miss the sort of the old days of art. Yeah. Pre-digital, pre-anime, and I'm not against either of those things. It's just that Monolith, in my opinion, as an extremely biased speaker right now, has the best dark fantasy art in the biz, and it's not even close. It doesn't mean we have the best art ever, because we use a lot of the same artists as many of the publishers, but there is a commitment to maintaining that sort of tradition, and especially for sword and sorcery products, it's like you have to have that. And there's
definitely an industry thing there, because other folks that realize like the little RPG companies like PEG, like we contract with artists, but there's not a ton of in-house artists that we can keep on payroll to just give them enough work to refine us in in-house style. I mean, Magic the Gathering can do that, and I think a lot of us secondary people, like we get to use those artists when they're available. Magic cultivates its own look and trains their artists for that look, and then that's kind of what you get, right? And so the thing I love about Monolith is that you will never get the grittiness because Magic doesn't go there. It's not their theme. So that stable of artists, it's not you don't get the truly kind of horrific, gritty. No one does Frazetta anymore. I'm with you on that. If you want to go there, it is a challenge, and it's not easy to find those artists and to cultivate that style. And so the work you put in to kind of maintain that branding is actually pretty. I mean, and you need it for Solomon Kane, right? Because there is this. It is. It's not like the next generation Star Trek. Like everybody's happy and hunger is gone, and you get to all be good people. No, Kane himself is. He's an edgy guy. There's some themes there that
from the outside. I would not buy him a drink or propose him. Yeah, no.
Right?
Yeah, Robert E. Howard's stories have there's an apocalyptic edge to most of it, right? Like Bran McMorrin is the last, king of his people. They're a dying race. Conan is on the edge of a cataclysm. Kull is on the edge of a cataclysm, and I often say. Fantasy is my favorite genre, and I hate most of it. And what I mean is that, if it doesn't have an element of horror or I don't want to say like grim. It's not necessarily have to be grimdark, but it's like it has to have an edge. Or if it's filled with too much whimsy, it's just not for me. Anthropomorphic, foxes walking around and stuff. I guess that's not for me. That's not. The horror is gone. And Kane really brings that dark fantasy, and the art reflects it. And I think it's important that somebody is doing that on a fairly large scale. There's all kinds of people who are keeping that alive, but Monolith is a fairly sizable publisher, and I don't know. I'm proud of the work that we're doing in keeping that look, that aesthetic, those tones, that theme, on a fairly large scale.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So one question, any chance for tabletop VTT for this?
Chance, yes.
Okay, good deal.
So, it's not done, but I mean, I would have a pure marketing answer. I mean, the more the campaign will be big, the more chance you have to have got a VTT.
That's true.
I mean, I would say it's not a problem, but one of the main topic I would say in the industry, and I'm talking both for board game and RPG. If you really like the community you have behind you, and I would even say next to you, you want to propose them as many things as you could, but unfortunately, everything costs a shitload of money. Yeah. I mean. At least if you want to pay people well.
No, it's true. And the business models are very different too. I mean, that's the thing is like Peg is in the business of producing books, right? And so the VTT model is a very different funding model and how long it takes to get your investment back. And, even though from the other side, like the player side, it's like, oh, I'm in this world. It's got to be the same. And it's like, it's very different. It's a very different, so it's harder to guarantee all of the above on campaigns. I mean, I think, on Peg's side, I wouldn't say Monolith has it. This is a fault, but the wanting to put so much more in the box, right? Like more miniatures, more maps. It's so easy to go overboard because you never know how it's going to land. Like, will you get enough investment in the full thing, or people are going to, do you get too many folks in the digital end, or just want the book? So it's a very hard industry to judge those kind of things. So
and as you said, it's a different thing. So perhaps you'll say, all right, I will have this budget for doing it, and it will be great. It's live, and many people used to use like VDTs. They will say like, no, that's not good, and you should have this, and you should have that. And you're like, oh fuck, it's not finished. And actually, just the beginning for you, and it's like a nightmare. People are not especially happy. I mean, it can be pretty complicated, way more than you thought at first. Yeah.
Yeah, and from our side, that's why we've divorced VTT from our crowdfunders, because we
Okay.
are planning on doing VTT for almost everything we publish, for every platform. But it doesn't make sense with the crowdfunding model because the timelines are so different. Like the VTT can't even begin to start coding until your book is published, final, shipped. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, we need our campaigns to be done so we can do the next one. And so yeah.
And with a crowdfunding model, that just that can be tough.
Yeah.
100%. And that's the thing, is like we know where to reach our book customers, but it's like, okay, do we need to promise all the VTT platforms, or just the ones that we produce in-house, or versus the ones like some of the people, some of them we just license, we have no control over when their schedules are. So it's a much more complicated PR nightmare on like, okay, did you pay for this? We have to get the money of these people, and when is this delivered? And so
money and workers. I mean, you have to choose your battles.
Yeah.
I mean, you can fight everywhere. So
yeah.
So I think I want to give you guys an opportunity now. What other awesome things are coming up, not Savage Worlds related, from Monolith? What are your next big projects? What's in the works? What do you want to let our community know about?
Oh, Matt can probably speak at least of one game which has a really great game developer. He knows well.
You mean Mythic Battles?
Yeah. Now I'm talking Conan RPG.
Yeah, so listen, we got the license to do the Conan RPG. This is a little while ago. And we knew we wanted to do it because we love Conan. Fred Henry has gone on record as saying Conan is the DNA of the company. And I think that's a fair assessment in many ways. I think our Conan board game, and I did not write the system, okay? I wrote the solo mode. It's good. It's successful. People like it. But without bias, I can tell you that I think our Conan board game is the best Conan game ever, period. And I say that as a consumer who enjoyed it, who got so excited when it was announced before I had any sort of game developing experience. And so we seized upon the license when it became available, to keep it under sort of our banner and do our thing with it. And so we were like, well, okay, we caught this thing. What do we do with it? Right? We had several ideas going around for a system, right? I've even heard some people say, why not Savage Worlds? Why not 5th edition? Why not this? Why not that? And to be honest, all of those are decent ideas and things that we could have pursued. Honestly, I would have been more inclined for Savage Worlds than I would have been for 5th Ed.
Yeah, me too.
And I like both games. I just think I think Conan would fit Savage Worlds well.
Yeah.
Even to the point where like I played an old fan version of it. And I thought it was, I thought it was good. No question about it. But to me, it was, we have, I don't even know, what do we got? Like 50K, 60K people who probably have bought our Conan board game. And I basically threw my hat in the ring to be, well, what if I came up with a system here for this? Because I think I've got a good idea. And I wanted to make a game that I thought would be welcoming to those who had only played board games, but also to people who have played RPGs. And I wanted a lighter system because Conan has had a few crunchier systems. Again, I have no shade on the crunch. It's just that as a 40-year-old dude who doesn't have a lot of time to prepare, and someone who's fairly connected with the community and the tons of people who played this board game, I thought it's probably a good idea we present a system that's streamlined, feels as good and visceral as the combat of the board game, something that could reuse assets from the board game, et cetera, et cetera. And so I basically designed something that I thought would springboard well from our board game, that would also, you also don't need any of the board game stuff. It kind of just takes that essence, and gives you more freedom in terms of your storytelling. So we've done it. We designed it. We play tested it. The quick start's going to come out in, I don't know, a month or two.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's not
done. Basically, it's done.
It's not. Yes, it is. We're waiting
on
on a cover.
Yeah, and all the English text is done also already.
Mhm.
I mean, that's also something we do now at Monolith since 18 months now. We only launch our campaign when all the development is done. I mean, you'll still have like a final proofreading because, I mean, until it's at the factory, I mean, you will use all the time you have for like be sure to check everything. But we only launch when everything is done. So it's the same way. Conan
Mhm.
RPG will make it live once all the English is done. Layout, same for the French.
It's
I mean,
probably
everything.
the project we've had the farthest along, and haven't
Yeah.
even we're not even it'll be a project two projects from now probably. It's not terribly far off, but it's not tomorrow. And so we're super excited about it. We think it's great. Those who played the board game can get a lot of play out of it. I'm looking in the comments, and like I even agree that Savage Worlds could be an ideal system for Conan. I mean, obviously we have Solomon Kane; it's from the same writer, and so I think that's there. But it wouldn't. And I even bandied this idea around. It's that I'm considering the fact, like our flock at Monolith are people who played the Conan board game, and I think you'll find some things that are, not far from Savage Worlds. I also see folks mentioning Barbarians of Lemuria,
Which is
I
great.
looked up that game after I had done a lot of design for this game, and I started reading it and stopped because I was like, whoa, seems like there's some similar ideas here for adapting a sword and sorcery game. But I mean, of course, everyone's going to get the anxiety of influence when you're designing a thing. I would just say, folks, the quick start will be out for that soon. And you can all poke holes in it. You can look askance at it, or you can celebrate it and love it. I think it's solid. Our playtesters have really dug it. Yeah. And I even heard a rumor that in June, some key Robert E. Howard torch bearers will be playing it in Robert E. Howard's own house in Cross Plains, Texas soon. So we could probably have some footage for you about that soon. So
that's cool.
That's my long version of,
Conan.
Conan.
We've got a Conan RPG coming.
Yeah. And I actually would even say, now I'm not promising anything official, and I don't even think you need anything official, but like that giant box of Solomon Kane miniatures, you're going to find things in there that would be very useful for the Conan RPG down the road. So if you're an RPG player and you're not totally picky about playing several systems, I just recommend you check it out. I think you'll dig it.
Now, I'm super excited to see what you folks do because, folks buy the Conan RPG when they get it. With the miniatures are fantastic. And you can literally use Suede or the Solomon Kane Suede and just remove flintlocks. That's kick those out.
Yeah.
But most of their stuff's there, folks. It's
Exactly.
that's the thing, right? It's
it's like a few comments. So yes, at the Awards Day, I read that it's a comment section, but I mean, I have no problem with people thinking that Savage Worlds would be like the perfect system for them to play Conan. But
we are on the Savage World stream.
Yeah,
so we're a little biased. That's right.
I mean, it's really great for it, So to me, it's exactly the same process Shane had for Savage Worlds, meaning Shane did it for things like Solomon Kane, Conan, etc. So there's probably some great stuff back then, but he wanted to make his stuff because he really wanted to create it for the purpose he wanted. And I don't know if Matt precised it or not at the beginning of the talk about Conan RPG, but we had a pretty rare opportunity, meaning we didn't go after heroic signatures for having the license for the RPG. They came to us. Yeah. Which is probably one of the most honor you can have in your life. Like people say, "Oh, I want you to make something about it," and so we are like, okay, with I would say so many weight on our shoulders, we have to make something really designed just for that. I mean, perhaps the system will be used for something else after, but I mean, and Matt can probably confirm it. It wasn't our talk at all. It was like it's done for Conan, and so to speak, we don't give a shit if it will be used for something after or not. I mean, that's just the goal. And so far, I mean, anyone who played it was really happy with it. It's really funny about Conan because it's like we made the full turn of the wheel. Because back then, when Frederick Henry made the Conan, the board game. The goal for him was we start to grow older and we have less time for preparing long scenario, having people being there together for like a good chunk amount of time. And board gaming Conan was a way to say, okay, you can still live some story with like 1 or 2 hours in front of you. And it was something in between for the RPG also. I mean, you can definitely play it with long campaign, but like Howard, it's more designed to play something fast, like not fast like you'll be fast and furious, but more like it's pulp. It's not
Pulp,
designed,
yeah.
It's not Lord of the Ring. I mean, and you've got the same feeling. I mean, the system is pretty easy to learn. And so if you saw your friends even once in a while, I mean, you can definitely play and have good fun and just continue lives,
Yeah.
It's the same for Savage Worlds, he said. I mean,
Well, exactly. And it even comes back to like my
Yeah.
sort of weird ballsy comment about Monolith. It's like, I totally get that a lot of publishers will use one system for several IPs so that there's this unity. And like, I get the appeal of that for sure. Like if you look at Free League, who's using, I think the system for Blade Runner is similar to Alien, and there's a weird non-official but nerd connection to those two IPs. And like, I get that appeal totally. But at the same time, I think that Savage Worlds does pulp incredibly well. But I also think that there's a sort of variety of pulp. Not even really that, but like, to me, it felt more sensible to do Conan under a different thing so that we could cater directly to
100%.
what has come before. And I mean, I want to say too, just to be absolutely clear, that we love Savage Worlds. It's probably the RPG I like most outside of my very romantic love of various Dungeons and Dragons systems. Because, Savage Worlds does that. It's quick. It's badass. It's got the grit. It's got the miniature possibilities, which I'm always a little bit in love with. I see someone in the chat talking about crossovers like Dark Agnes and other Howard characters. And the truth is, guys, I don't know what the hell we will do in the future in terms of we got like what 3 different Howard games, 3 different systems, 2 different characters. Who knows what we will do? And if these games are successful, like I think we're interested in continuing with all of them. So
no, that sounds fantastic, and I think it's the right choice too. I mean, the one, if you've got the Conan license, you do it justice, right? And that means like, design for 2024. And I also just love the positioning too. Like, Pinnacle is venturing into the board game space, and it's harder than you think, right? You're kind of transitioning your existing RPG space into board game people and attracting board game people. So like, very smart move. Getting the essence of what was so successful about the Conan board game you did and distilling that into an RPG and making sure those elements match up perfectly. And again, now easily the right choice.
But it's really about, to me, it's also really about thinking you're doing the right move. I mean, for Conan, we really want to make our own stuff because we really think it will be better. I mean, not everyone will agree, but as the opposite, I mean, for like Solomon Kane, we could have used the same system we use for like Conan, but we were like, no, the best system for Solomon Kane for us is the Savage World one. So, I mean, it really depends on the brand or the universe of the game. So,
well, it's that this game already existed and it was awesome. It as someone from the semi outside of Savage Worlds, I played the old what was it called before? The Adventure System or the nope?
Explorers Edition.
Yes. Yes. So I remember playing it that way pre-Solomon Kane. We all liked it. I think we did a weird homebrew version of Fallout or something. Nice. And we did a little bit of Deadlands. And then when we played Solomon Kane, I was like, God damn, this is an awesome implementation of this. And of course, I'm a big Robert E. Howard fan. But I was really humbled and proud and just jazzed when we got to resurrect this particular version of the game. So here we go. Like I live a charmed life, everybody. I'm happy to be involved. Even though I did nothing creatively on this game at all, I'm just like, yeah, I'll talk about it. Hell yeah.
No. He's not there, but Chris Shepperson, which is a product manager of Conan RPG and of the brand itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's doing and he did an amazing job on it. I mean, To be honest, I mean, I've done some project management myself, and it's probably the best one I've ever known. So
Yeah.
I mean, really, really happy.
Yeah, he's
will be
killing
really
it. Check
good.
out
Yeah,
check
definitely.
out his Gaia Complex game RPG.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sorry, we keep shouting to competing systems, but
No, that's our vibe here, and we love play. We're multi gamerists. We love playing, gaming systems, getting ideas. I mean, I just love it when someone else does the work for me, and then has miniatures and maps and stuff like that. It's like, all that's gold. So
yeah, and rising tides and ships and all that, man. It's so much easier to be allied and friends with people than it is to, get at each other's throats of stuff.
Oh yeah, there are only two classes of RPG companies. There's D&D and then everybody else. So yeah, we got to stick together.
Yeah, exactly.
Folks, the Kickstarter has gone amazing. I'll throw in the link one more time, but it is knocking on 90,000. It is already funded. 917 backers already, which is a fantastic number for an RPG. And 6 days to go. So that's only 1 day in. That's only 1 day in. And but so folks, it's as we explained before, it's a short campaign because let's get to the point. Get on board or not, get to it. And I appreciate that. That would make my life so much easier if we did 1 week campaigns.
Yeah.
Right. But there's the link, folks. It's 129 euro for the gorgeous all-in, the books and hardcover print, the amazing Game Master screen, and the box of minis, which gets better by the day. So if you backed on like the first hours, go check out the day one reveals. There's like 3 awesome, gorgeous, huge miniatures that they just added in, and I guess they're going to do this more and more each day. So, but yeah, I mean, who doesn't need a giant snake, a bear, all of the characters? I mean, they're great. The miniatures are really, really well done. You're not going to get that with other RPGs, folks. Like, it's very, very hard for RPG companies to kind of put together the team to make that happen. So, really unique opportunity. Solomon Kane. For folks who asked about the campaign, so it is the Savage Worlds of Solomon Kane campaign. If this goes well, maybe there might be more in the future. Who knows? No promise. I can say that, so you guys aren't on the hook. But make it go well by backing today. Only 6 days left. Ends next week on the 22nd. But there's a lot there already. If you haven't played, it's an earth-spanning campaign, really one of the better plot point campaigns. And the chance that there's more is great. And also, come on, Conan, all the Conan. So really excited to see your work, Matt, on that. I'm excited to play it.
The game is planned to be delivered in next January.
Pretty quick turnaround, right? Because most is
What's probably helped a lot is that there's already pretty much it's done.
We're gonna zoom in on you and not wrong one.
I didn't get that book. This is bullshit.
Where's my copy?
I'm sorry. I mean, you'll have yours pretty fast. So
hold on now. I got my hipster copy here.
Show those off again, and then show off the GM screen again, and then we'll show Matt with his hipster copy.
This is my hipster copy. I was there before it was cool.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Old school. Nice. Oh baby. It's fall. It's like it's one of those books that's been dropped, and the spine's all effed up.
Yeah, and you love it too.
This
is one.
So good.
GM screens are friggin' worth it every time.
Yeah.
I mean,
total sucker for that.
100%. And I also like when I get I rent, so I don't put stuff up on the walls really. But I definitely want a framed Game Master screens for my favorite games because they are art. They are gorgeous.
A friend of mine is actually doing this with all these GM screens. I mean, they're all on the wall. It's just pretty good.
It's an unusual scale for art, right? It's landscape, but it's super landscape, and you have to actually draw your eye across it. It's not even a thing you would do in like an IMAX cinema. It's like it keeps going. It's beautiful.
It is good. And look, and the fans in the chat, they want more Howard. So
oh my God, listen,
us too, actually.
A Bran McMorn game. Listen, my favorite Robert E. Howard story is Worms of the Earth.
Yep.
It's Conan's my favorite character. It remains my favorite, corner of Robert E. Howard. But Bran McMorn's Worms of the Earth, holy shit. That is my favorite short story of all time. And if you want a perfect encapsulation of fantasy meets horror meets pseudo real world history, read Worms of the Earth and don't talk to me until you do. It's free online. Project Gutenberg. Look it up. You can read it right now. If we get to do a Bran McMorn game, I'm in it. Who told you, Gilles, that like we needed Bran McMorn in our last Conan board game?
I would say probably some Canadian dude I know. Yeah.
Some asshole named Mathieu John.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're great.
And he will propose me that like after a glass of wine when it's like 8 p.m. for him. But for me, it's like for now, it's like 3 a.m. when he's telling me that like I just want to sleep, Matt. I mean, we'll talk tomorrow.
We sure will.
Well, I booked you folks for an hour, and so we will let Matt get back to his glass of wine and just back to sleep. But we thank you guys for showing up on the stream. I love that you guys have picked up the Robert E. Howard torch and are running with it with, I mean, really fine quality on just all fronts. I mean, layout, art, miniatures. The miniatures are just really fantastic. I mean, get them, people. Not going to be available in STL. Sorry, not individual. Get the box; it's worth it. And I hope that the licensor loves the success you've had with this in the board game and gives you all the all the Howard things, because, as you said, there's a whole lot more Howard to get done. But yeah, it's super.
I mean, a good part of the crazy good job was done by Shane and Pinnacle also. I mean.
Right. Well, I mean, I just love the fact that we get so many folks. I mean, they love it, and they're like, "Oh, it's not in Suede," and so it's like now it's in Suede. That it answers all of our fans' dreams. Plus, I mean, we don't have to do miniatures. We can just like, buy yours and play with them. Like that's the best ever.
Yeah.
So.
The deal on if you are a miniatures person and you like Savage Worlds and you have any proclivity toward Robert E. Howard, oh my God, like this deal is crazy. It's stupid.
It is. I mean, $1 per mini is like, especially for the quality. Come on. God,
and this is not a new game either, folks. It's like it's tried, tested, it's true, and to me, it's. I even remember back in the day when I was looking at Savage Worlds, a lot of people said the Solomon Kane game is the best version of it. Now I don't know. There's many reasons you could think that or not think that, but like, it's an awesome game, and now it's updated to the most recent version. So.
Right, by Shane himself. So it's got our seal of approval and love, and we hope you guys love it too. So 6 days left in the campaign. Matt, where else can people find you? But you mentioned you have a certain podcast that you might want to talk about.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I wear many hats. I will do this very quickly. Rogues in the House is the podcast. You can find that where all podcasts are found. We talk sword and sorcery in multimedia, not just literature. We go into all kinds of stuff. We're usually kind of funny. I am also an author outside of my game design stuff. I have stories coming up in New Edge Sword and Sorcery, Old Moon Quarterly. You can check out a Book of Blades. I mean, I might have something coming up in Savage Sword of Conan. Oh my God, did I say that out loud? Maybe I did. Anyways, I don't know. I do. But
you were the right guy. You were the right guy for this project.
I love this stuff, man. I really do, and it's all been a gas. And I can't thank the fans enough. This is an older. I mean, obviously, it's an older author who's no longer with us, but these characters, they're from a time and a place that we're not necessarily boosting the signal of anymore, but there's still so much there, and I appreciate everybody who's still carrying the torch of sword and sorcery and keeping this alive and the dark fantasy vibe and this art and these games, and like it's alive and well in the gaming sphere. And just thank you. Check out any of my stuff and I'm happy, or thanks for being here.
Appreciate having you. So Gilles, any final thoughts? Take us away. Is there anything you want to say?
Oh, just a big thank you for the opportunity to have some time with you and part of the chat also. I mean, can wait to see where the Solomon Kane in Savage World will be going, because as you said, nothing said it will be the end with the core book. So let's see where it will be going.
That sounds great. So yeah, better the campaign does, folks, higher chances you get more. And with that, I'm going to wait to play one more time with the trailer. And thank you for joining us. Stay savage and go play some RPGs this weekend, or board games.
Yeah.
Right, pick up a Monolith game.
Just play.
Or write. Oh God, pull your sword out and slay some heretics. Also, yeah. But just don't tell them that we told you to. But cheers, folks. Thanks so much.
Cheers.